I do.
Well, he can't go out on the side. He can't actually go out on the but he can't choose.
What's the meeting should say? Water department?
Yeah, water plant, yep.
Cut down today. 3 and 4 days a week is too much.
All those people would be unemployed.
I'd like to call to order the June 18, 2013 meeting of Columbiana City Council. Please stand for invocation and pledge allegiance to the flag.
Lord, we thank you for your presence, and we know you are always with us. Give us faith and courage when we need it. Help us work to the best of our ability and to put our trust in you. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ferguson?
Here.
Bain? King?
Here.
Donovan?
Here.
Donovan? Here. Blakeman?
Here.
Spaffel?
Here.
Willard?
Here.
Blaisdell?
Okay, everyone should have a copy of the June 7, 2013 meeting minutes. Are there any errors or omissions? As presented. We have 3 public hearings at 7:30, so we'll continue on and come back to those. And communications, I have 1. Concerning the Civil Service Commission vacancy, dear Mayor Spavill, I would like to submit this letter of interest in regards to the vacancy upon the Civil Service Commission Board. I've spoken to Rick Noel and Lance Willard in regards to the necessary duties and feel that I may be a qualified candidate for this seat. If you wish to speak with me, please feel free to contact me. Thank you for your time and consideration. April D. Brinker. Put that off till later on. Under reports of boards and commissions, we should have a planning commission meeting minutes of June 11, 2013. A park recreation and cemetery board meeting minutes of May 20, 2013. Any comments on either of these? If not, we'll move on. Recognition of person desired to appear. First on the agenda is Dave Kisner. Are you still? The other tornado victim fundraiser. I'm sure he's here to report out what.
I just wanted to tell you all thank you for everything that went on. You know, it was a really nice event. Appreciate you coming. Appreciate Lowell, the city manager. Just, I hope I represented the city in a good light. You know, I had a good time. I wish the turnout could have been better, but it was. You gave me that opportunity to put it out there. It was a blessed event. I wish the media could have covered it more. You know, when Tim Waggle parachuted in, there's no way to describe it how it looked. You know, it really, I've never seen it up close like that before, and, you know, to get him to come down to do my little thing for me when I was on. I was on with everybody else that was there and showed up and made a difference. You know, we raised $5,000.
Good.
And it wasn't a lot of money, but 5,000 is a lot of money for what we did, you know. But I wanted everybody to know that I appreciate you letting me use the property there and it made a difference.
Then people had a good time.
I hope so.
Yeah, beautiful day for it.
We got all the merchants that give me all those wonderful baskets and all those donations, and some of that stuff was just so nice, you know, and just so grateful. You know, who would ever think that you could have a Chinese auction with that nice of stuff? You know, and I did it all in 10 days. You know, just,
Yeah.
but thank you again for letting me do that. I appreciate it.
Thanks for taking the time to organize it.
Thank you.
One comment I want to make. It was a nice day, and you did a wonderful thing. A lot of great people gave things to the community and for you, and what you gave was great too. And I noticed that evening, I happened to go by, we were coming home from something else, maybe it was Sunday, and I see you under the broom sweeping the parking lot.
Yes, I did.
So I want to thank you
It
for,
took me 4 hours and
well, thank you very much for everything you did. I'm sure they'll greatly appreciate it out there.
thank you.
Anyone else desiring to speak to council this evening? Mr. Hayes.
Good evening. Hi, Rob Sugar. Live in Old Saybrook here in Columbiana, and want to report to you on the fishing tournament at Arrowhead Lake. First off, I do want to commend what a great job you did over there. Just not even the money, but just the awareness and making even the kids aware of it as they drive past it. That people in our country are hurting that we don't know about, and that was a good thing you did. So just with awareness. But we had a fishing tournament and for Heartland, and I'd like to pass out the brochures and some photos. The pictures in the actual brochure this year on the fishing tournament side aren't of this year's tournament. We use sample photos online, so I brought you the actual real photos to show you what we time to get that. Here, actually, this is a flip cover. Fishing tournament's on one side, the athletic department's on the other. Show them. You guys already have one, but just save the reference. And I too have a lot of thank yous to the Planning Commission and the Council and to all of the community members that supported us, and also the organizations such as the Chief and the Police Department. They did a great job. He supplied a number of units and patrol the site, and auxiliary officers there to do child identity kits with the kids, which a lot of the parents really appreciated that. Thank you very much. And the kids that did do it, a dozen or a couple dozen kids that did do it, needed it very badly. Seeing some of the photos, the kids got a chance to tour the police cruisers, the EMS vehicles, and learn about safety, and which was awesome. And again, the kids that took advantage of it were the kids that needed to. All in all, it was a great event. We started setting up on Friday around noon, 1 o'clock. By 5 o'clock on Saturday, we were completely tore down. All the construction fencing was put away. The site was organized, all the trash was picked up, and we left the site with 10 trash containers and 5 porta johns along the curb, all lined up nice and neat. We did raise some money. We raised awareness for Heartland Athletics. We raised awareness for Heartland School. 6 student leaders wrote that book in its entirety. Even my letter, they rewrote for me with proper English. And they also, at 9:30, I stepped back and let them run the entire event. And so 6 sophomores and juniors ran this event and raised thousands of dollars for the school. And more importantly, the kids that participated in fishing did so, as you see with some of the photos, with their parents and grandparents. And that was a great sense of pride that I didn't realize that we were going to gives to these families as far as just spending quality time with their family and teaching them how to fish and teaching them how to spend time with their family instead of being in front of a TV or video game. So it was a tremendous event. Everybody that was involved, we had pretty much over 75 volunteers there, which is a huge number. And for people to take time out of their week to do that, to clean up, to set up, to spend time with kids was awesome. We gave a basketball away, we gave a set of golf clubs away. We had trophies, prize money. You see that there were 22 fishermen on like 11 boats, 22 fishermen that had a great time.
How many fish did they get?
Not big. The biggest fish that was caught was by a sixth grader. So
I thought there'd be some big fish.
I thought so too. They all had their boats. The live wells were full by 7:30 in the morning. So they started at 7. By 7:30, the live wells were full, and they were just replacing the fish with bigger fish. But biggest fish was 1.72 tons, which is huge. But they had a great time. And I just want to point out that out of 11 of the sponsored boats, 9 companies, and these are local companies, gave their spot away to people that wanted to fish more than they wanted to, and also blessed pastors and fathers that needed some time away and different things. So that was awesome that those were given away to people that probably needed it more than the company does. But do you have any other questions?
The big fish are still in there.
Big fish was in there, yeah. So they had,
Good job.
kids had a great time. Thank you.
Good job.
Anyone else desire to speak to council this evening? Move into the manager's report.
We have the Columbiana Police Department report in your packets. Also the building and zoning department. Just to give you a little update what's going on in the city. The South Main Street Bridge project should go out to bid very soon. Notified by ODOT that 7 and 14 intersection application that we applied for a safety grant we did not get. There's still one other one out there that we have a chance to get. Held a managers meeting. Also scheduled a meeting with the supervisors, with the police chief, with Jacob Beck, who is planning the street fair. We're going to meet tomorrow at 1 o'clock to get prepared and make sure that we're getting everything prepared for that event, which is a ways off, but it's done quickly. As requested last council meeting, I did get a hold of Rick Gary and Tom Farley, and they both were out at Oklahoma fundraiser, which is great to see, along with the police department. It was really nice to see them out there. And Rick agreed to do the 4-wheel drive derby, Jeep derby again, as he had written, or the 4-wheel drive had written a request for that. That city lot next to Ryan's News, it's on Rodney's list, and he's cleaned it up a little bit, and we're getting options for fence to be investigated. Tell everybody what we found out. We have to have something that's easily removable, if we need to get into this. I called Ron Detweiler, and the meeting about the fence is going to be after 4th of July. At the water plant, I believe we delivered to USDA. Hopefully it'll satisfy them, all the information they requested. We asked them to get back to us, and hopefully they get back to us this week so we can proceed forward. And if that was the case, and they did accept all of that information, we could go out to bid, and the construction could potentially start in December. That's if everything goes right. The water plant is really the staff's doing a great job dealing with the aging water plant out there. They had to work on a lot of things this last week, but they did a great job. The wastewater plant project, that research project should be up and running next week. Street department, we met out there with various superintendents and plan to take down the old ticket booth, and it's removed with, along with several pieces of sidewalk. And street crew ground down the streets, and they'll be resurfacing throughout June. Another round of shut-offs will be occurring to bring utilities up to date. Electric department, they were also involved in the football stadium project to make sure that we didn't mess with any electric or hit anything. They're also working on new GIS maps. Park and cemetery, again, the ticket booth is removed. And the shop is done and it's passed inspection. And I did want to thank all of our city safety forces for going out to Oklahoma relief event. That was really nice to see. And I really want to thank all those people that were participated in the wine event, the wine festival. That was a great event. There was a lot of volunteers. And we really want to especially thank the American Legion, because without them, we would have never had that event. I mean, we called upon them Tuesday or Wednesday, and within a few hours, we moved the event out to American Legion, and they were out there helping us Saturday morning, and they did wonderful though. It was just really nice.
Why was it moved?
Because we needed a site-specific license, and that specific, where they were going to have it at Whispering Pines was considered dry. And, you know, Rob Schwartz did a wonderful job throughout this project trying to, get everything in line. He was very passionate. And he was in contact with Division of Liquor Control for a long time, and came right down to it on Tuesday. They told us that we had three options. One was to move the event, and that's where we could move it to. So we really just want to hats off to.
The state was a little bit in the fault of that. They issued a one-day permit to Whispering Pines, thinking the town was wet. Then they called back later and says they weren't grandfathered in with the rest of the town, they were annexed on. So there was some confusion on it. They're the ones that caused the confusion first, saying they could have a permit, and then said they couldn't have a permit.
Yeah, they had to review all the voting. It was pretty complicated, I guess, but we did talk to them, and it worked out. I think it was a great venue, and I think it was very successful. And the last thing is all the departments I've been working with, just been doing an amazing job. Just been great. The cooperation, efficiency throughout every department. It's a great feeling. And that's all I have. And then bill list.
That 100,000 that we sent for the research, did we get that back?
Not yet.
We haven't gotten that back yet.
No. We set up the automatic.
Yeah, it has to be done online, but we haven't got it.
ACH or whatever, the automatic.
Because I thought we were going to get that back within like 2 weeks. It's been almost 2 months, I think.
I'll check on it, but no, we haven't got it yet.
Anything else for the city manager or questions on the bill list? All right. Got a few minutes understanding on to the public hearings. Moving to old business. Due to length of the ordinances and resolutions, may I have a motion to read them by title only?
So moved.
Second.
Yeah.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Schlenker.
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ordinance number 13-0-2732, second reading. An ordinance setting a salary and establishing a position and other conditions of employment for the street superintendent for the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Julian?
King,
Yes.
Schlenker,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Under new business, need a motion to accept the resolution of the Columbiana Board of Commissioners approving the annexation of the 86.734 acres to the city of Columbiana, which was received by the clerk of council on April 9, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
Any
Which
comments?
law is that? That's the water plant.
For the board.
Dan?
Schlenker,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Need a motion referring the question of zoning of the 86.734 acres to the city of Columbiana Planning Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments? Dan?
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Schlenker.
Yes.
Need a motion to set a public hearing for October 1st, 2013 at 7:15 PM for the zoning of the 86.734 annexed acres into the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? Yes, sir.
My only question is, why is the public hearing set for so late? I mean, the planning commission will have 3 meetings between now and then.
We have to meet several deadlines with regard to this legislation. The statute providing for the acceptance or rejection of annexation by ordinance or resolution requires that we take that action within 120 days of the date that the documents are laid before council, which is today's date. We also have to allow time for Bob Belding to send out the notices to the adjacent property owners for the planning commission meeting. Although there's no public hearing with the planning commission meeting, the notices have to go out. And the reason that this ordinance is rather convoluted is the requirement in section 612 of our charter, which requires that each ordinance establishing, amending, revising the zoning district maps has to be referred to the planning commission immediately after its first reading. So this is the first reading of the ordinance. It will go to planning commission. Planning commission will have an opportunity to set up its meeting and send out the notices. Then it's been timed in such a way that it can come back to council, and then council will hold the public hearing. If we do all this on this schedule, we will actually pass the acceptance legislation within about 15 days of the deadline established by Code Section 709.04.
Well, if this is sent to the planning commission in time for the July meeting, then the planning commission could set a date for their own public hearing. Is that what you're saying?
That's what's going to happen.
Okay, and that could be in August.
It will be.
It will be in August.
The ordinance itself
And
says.
then the planning commission would could vote on that at their August meeting.
Exactly. I can give you the dates because we put the dates in the ordinance, which are.
Well, let me cut to the chase, Dan.
I'm cutting to the chase.
Is October 1st the fastest date that we could have the public hearing for council.
That's
for the final
precisely
vote.
why we've done it this way.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Schlenker?
Yes.
Bellinger?
Yes.
You need a motion to fill a vacant seat on the Civil Service Commission, term of May 15th, 2013, to May 15th of 2019. And the only letter we received was the one I read earlier from April Draper.
You've talked to her, Lance?
Yeah, she's a very passionate individual. We talked to her about the time commitments that it's going to take. And she's doing a great job with the Chamber of Commerce. She's a go-getter, and I believe she'll do well in the position.
I'll make that motion. What's the first name? His name in civil service. Second.
Any other comments?
Ferguson?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Schlenker?
Yes.
Bellinger?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Okay, next 3-year emergency, may I have a motion to suspend the normal 2 readings and read these as emergencies?
So moved.
Second.
King?
Yes.
Schlenker?
Yes.
Bellinger?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
Resolution number 13-0-449, emergency resolution to exclude the approval of the city of Salem, which approval would otherwise be required for an alternate method of apportionment of local government fund monies, excuse me, to be distributed in 2014.
So moved.
Any comments? Yeah?
Schlenker?
Yes.
Bellinger?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Resolution number 13-0-450. An emergency resolution approving a new alternative method of apportionment of local government fund money to be distributed in 2014.
Second.
Any comments? Yeah?
Bellinger?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Schlenker?
Yes.
Ordinance number 13-0-2733. Emergency ordinance authorizing the sale of personal property which is no longer needed for municipal purposes.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
I have one. The list that you received in your packet on Friday, we added one thing, the 2000 Chevy pickup truck.
I thought I saw that on there. Is it additional?
We're looking at JV.
148,000 miles?
Yeah, but the one that was in your packet did not have it in there on Friday.
Oh, okay.
She put it at you yesterday, so just wanted to point that out.
Yeah?
Baker?
Yes.
Ferguson?
Yes.
King?
Yes.
Schlenker?
Yes.
Bellinger?
Yes.
Can't go any further until we have our public hearings.
You could do the last item on the agenda. This is the acceptance of the annexation.
Oh, okay, sure. Then we move up to K, ordinance number 13-0-2737, first reading. An ordinance accepting annexation of certain territory containing 86.734 acres of land in Fairfield Township, Columbiana County, Ohio, to the city of Columbiana.
So moved.
Any questions or comments? Yeah.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Schonifer,
Yes.
Challenger,
Yes.
Wakeman,
Yes.
We have about 1 minute or so, not a minute, until our public hearings. I'd just like to say real quick that it's very nice, all the departments, police, fire, EMS, to give a lot of their time to go to these events and help out. I know this weekend is the Halos and Heroes out at the high school. We'll be out there again. So it's very nice that they give their time and put forth a lot of extra effort, whether it's explorers, volunteer firemen. So they're greatly appreciated.
One thing, we want to get to 20 seconds, Ron. It was in our packets that a piece of property on Main Street's been addressed and been added to the list for maintaining it, keeping it up.
Yeah, I think they did get the weeds. I did know go by notes of that.
Cleaned up the concrete too, the
Did they?
loose concrete, yeah.
Good. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, it's 7:30, and we have 3 public hearings scheduled. First one is to amend section 1260.32 of the Planning and Zoning Code. Anyone here want to make any comments? I know we have a large crowd tonight.
You might want to mention what this refers to, Mr. Mayor,
Let's see, 173.
if you have it there.
Yes, I do. This was brought up by Mr. Milan, and it concerns the length of time that a
Site plan is enforced.
site plan is enforced. There have been many site plans in previous years that were approved and never came through, and they sat on the books for virtually forever. And people at times backed out due to other reasons. So the planning commission got together and came up with a time frame, which is 1 year from the date it's implemented. It can be extended 1 year if they come back to planning commission. And that's the changes being made in the planning and zoning code. So there's actually an end date to those now, so let them continue on forever and just ride out on the books. So it was a good idea by Ron, and it was implemented, and now planning commission is hoping that council will agree with them. Yes, sir.
Site plan referring to businesses or new development?
All site plans.
If site plans that have been established in the past, are they grandfathered into where?
Just be from now on. So if you have one currently, you'd be grandfathered in.
And if the site plan,
The planning commission can give extensions to that.
right off the bat, like if development's gonna take 3
Well-
years to develop, you could say this is.
If after the first year, nothing happens, you can come in and request an additional year.
But if construction is started, it's allowed to finish.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm getting to, it's a 3-year build out or something.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you started it way.
Office complex or whatever, maybe.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I think the thought process, if someone comes in front of the planning commission with an idea and then never comes through with it, we don't have to keep it. But
That's smart, it just was just,
Right.
not having it in front of me, just.
This is the extension is 6 months. Is that right? Shall not exceed.
Oh, you're right, 6 months for a total of 18 months.
Prior to commencement.
Okay? So if there's no one wanting to say anything else, let's bring it to a vote. Oh, no, we'll go to the next one, sorry. The next public hearing is to amend section 1266.10A3 of the Planning and Zoning Code. And that one is no more than 2 accessways shall abut any one street. Such accessways should not be less than 30 feet in width. At the sidewalk line, it shall have a minimum side radius of 25 feet. Does anyone want to speak on this change to the planning and zoning?
I believe it was just to clean up the
To
lane.
clean up the language?
I just say, is there a reason we're doing this
Yeah,
now?
clean up the lane.
If not, I'll close that one. And the third one is to amend section 1276.05, 1278.05, 1284.05, 1286.05, 1288.05 of the Planning and Zoning Code. And that has to do with the height requirements. The Planning and Zoning Commission sat down and went through all the information, and they established heights for all the areas, because there was a lot of different heights, and some of them did not make any sense. So we spent several hours on this, looked through this, a couple different meetings, and we came up with what we felt was a more fair, more practical height requirements, maximum height requirements, and it touched a lot of these sections. Just a couple of them. In C1, the maximum was 35 feet. Our suggested height is 45 feet. C2, 35 feet, hopefully to 45 feet. The other change, C4 was 25 feet. We're suggesting 45 feet for that. C5 is currently 35 feet. We're suggesting 45 feet for that. I1, 35 feet. We're hoping to get that to 65 feet. I2 from 35 feet to 65 feet. And I3 is currently 65 feet and will remain that height. So that was the suggestion of the Planning and Zoning Board to get these more in line with what is more practical. Does anybody want to comment on any of this? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to embellish on that, to confirm that one of our objectives there was to be more consistent. I know Dan has badgered us on other occasions to be sure that we're consistent with our zoning and regulations, zoning and ordinance regulations, and that was part of the reasoning for this, is to be consistent throughout the whole scheme of the ordinance.
Thank you. That was the perfect word too, consistency. That's what we were looking for. Okay. No one else wants to comment on this? Change? We'll close those public hearings and move back into the agenda. And that puts us back to item H on new business. Ordinance number 13-0-2734, first reading. An ordinance amending section 1260.32 of the Planning and Zoning Code of the Code of Ordinances of Columbiana.
So moved.
Second.
Any other comments?
Yes.
Schwanneger,
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
Ordinance number 13-0-2735, first reading. An ordinance amending section 1266.10A3 of the Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of Columbiana, Ohio.
So moved.
Any other comments or questions?
Yes.
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
And ordinance number 13-0-2736, first reading. An ordinance amending section 1276.05, 1278.05, 1284.05, 1286.05, 1288.05 of the Planning and Zoning Code of the Codified Ordinances of Columbiana, Ohio.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments?
Callender,
Yes.
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Schwanneger,
Yes.
Council comments?
I have more than a comment. I want to discuss with our council and public and the press what was brought up at the last meeting. The question was posed by Mr. Becker in the office that the healthcare funds of the city being paid for by utility bills, or which comments I've been making for the last 3+ years. And he posed a question about it. Personally believe that it was a politically posed question that had an immediate response by another person that's running for office right now. So I did not want to answer it last meeting just because it seemed to me a bit funny. So long story short, I offered to come back tonight and go through the budget for 2013. There's no agenda other than to answer what was stated publicly, that all of my statements were factually wrong, which is not true. And I wanted to go on about through it. Although you've stated that for months you've been carrying your numbers that I was wrong. I don't know if you'd like to go first and then have me present my numbers. But I'm offering.
Yeah, but
Sure.
the only reason it's carrying is somebody who brought it up.
But you said that you were carrying them because my numbers were wrong.
The $27 figure or something.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get to. So just take a second. There's enough to this, adding numbers up to $1 million. I had the screen brought in, the city didn't pay for it, I brought it in on my own.
Biggest PowerPoint on the account.
It's bigger than a PowerPoint. We can write on this, we can blow it up. I have no clue. I think it's unfortunate that people that posed this and did this 2 weeks ago, don't even have their be here. I personally think if it's something that's that important to you, and you know that to be responded to, then you show it.
Mr. McBain's in Scotland, which he stated.
Mr. McBain didn't state.
But you said both people. Mr. McBain, who had a vacation plan, did say he'd be in Scotland.
He could have said that 2 weeks ago and saved me the time of doing this. I'll go through the first page of this is the actual comment in question. Back during our meeting in March, I posted this. Hold it up so you guys can see it. I wanted to explain my comments on Tuesday night's meeting due to the fact that our enterprise funds or utilities can pay costs related to that utility. The city can, and obviously it does, set rates based on what it needs. There is not enough money brought in on an annual basis with our city income tax to cover our base health insurance expenses for the year, let alone the entire general operation of the city. It has been determined that it is an expense of running the utility, and therefore those costs are placed into the utility rate that we pay each month. $1 million last year invested in that expense was loaded into the utility bill rates that we pay each month. There are roughly 3,000 utility taxes, so if you divide that, approximately $28, your combined water, sewer, and electric bill each month pays health insurance alone. That obviously is an average. The city is not authorized to levy taxes higher than a 1% income tax without a vote, but if we raise utility rates to meet expenses, it is justified. That is why it is my opinion that we are experiencing being taxed without calling for one. Our city manager does not operate a single utility, yet the utilities pay his wage because there is no possible way that the general fund could sustain the expenses that we operate with. The city-owned utility should be a benefit to the taxpayer, not an additional means of taxing without calling it one. So that was my comment that was made back in March. And at the last meeting, the $1 million question, which divides out to $28 per user on average. That's an aggregate of all tax, businesses, homes, everyone. I went through and took our fund. I'll go through the bills in a minute, but this is our electric fund budget for 2013. So, I don't know if you can all see this. Move my chair out of the way. Push this. But in our electric fund, as an expenditure, we have our employee benefits, the hospitalization, Medicare, workers' comp. It's all in that number at $251,958. If I go to our water fund, the benefit for the same thing adds up to $196,333. And our sewer fund is $158,100. If I add those three totals up that are in our utility bills, it comes out to $606,388. So if we were just dealing with those funds, my numbers would be very wrong. And even that number at 600,000 is substantially higher than the $4 that Dick stated that it was, substantially. But if we take this and now look at our general fund has some things in it that most people, maybe even members of council, aren't aware of. But our general fund has what's called a kilowatt excise tax that is funded from our electric bills. If you look at any bill in the city, you won't see it. Pull this up and show you. These are my bills from my house. So if you look on here, look, my bill for electric, water, and sewer at my house doesn't show anything about any form of taxes that are being pulled out of our electric bills and put into our general fund. It doesn't say it anywhere. It doesn't say there's an excise tax. It doesn't say anything. If I look at my gas bill, which is the only bill that I have other than cable that doesn't come from the city, it shows exactly what I'm paying. Yours, I'm sure, does at home too. It shows you have excise tax, sales taxes, county taxes. Well, in our city, they're taking the entire bill, and then this excise tax, right here, kilowatt tax general fund, this is listed on our electric budget as an expense. This is not revenue, it's an expenditure. So we're taking and collecting this excise tax on our electric bills, and we're pushing it as an expense into here, and then pushing it out into our general fund right here to the tune of $315,000. So above and beyond our electric bills that just go in to pay for electric, we're bringing $315,000 into our general fund. If you look at all of the incoming money into our general fund, which I now have to go to the general fund page off of. The general fund is right here. instead of being an expenditure, it shows up in revenue. So we're taking our electric bills and we're adding, I talked to Mike, it's 0045 for anyone under 2,000 kilowatt hours.
Well, there's different rates, right?
Right, they tier lower than that, that's a worst case scenario. So it's approximately a half a cent per kilowatt hour that we're putting on every bill, but we're not listing it on the bill. No one knows they're paying this tax. It's coming into the city, it's being routed out of our electric bill into our general fund to $315,000. Our 1% income tax for the entire city, which I stated, and this is factual, that our 1% income tax can't even afford our health insurance. We bring in a total of $840,000 a year, which is 50% of our 1%. Half goes to capital improvements, half goes to our general fund. So I have $840,000 there. The next biggest thing that comes into our general fund is our real estate taxes. Our property taxes bring in $323,000. The next biggest is $315,000 is a bill that no one knows they're paying in their electric bill. It's coming in, it's being pushed out into here, $315,000, only $8,000 less than everyone's property taxes for the whole city is being generated in an electric bill. It's being used to fund other things within the general fund, i.e. more health care. So if you take that $315,000 in the last one, not everyone in the city pays it, but on our cable bills, there's a franchise fee of $95,000 that comes into the city. That adds up to $315,000 plus $95,000 is $410,000 on people's utility bills, above and beyond the $600,000 coming from electric, water, and sewer that's already buried in. So if I look at the general fund now, not all of our funds are paid for by the general fund. EMS, the fire department, I wrote them all down here. Fire department, public safety, and EMS, those are both levy supported. They're not supported by this at all. Our street construction repair fund is funded by license plate and gasoline taxes. It's not funded, and it's not in my numbers. The income tax fund, our 1% income tax, is completely funded by the income tax and not by this number. Everything else in the general fund, you have our general fund administrative, our general fund police, cemetery, park, and our self-funded healthcare fund. All of those costs, which I have here, add up. And I'll go through them in case anyone doesn't believe me, but they add up to $383,000. If I add up my $383,000 with my $606,000, you can see, by the way, where I'm going. Every fund is broken down in here. I didn't add or add anything extra in here. I have $606,000 plus $383,000 is $989,000. So I'm sorry if I rounded up 10 grand. So it's $989,000. When I take $989,000 and I divide it by the approximate 3,000 users, it comes out to $329 per year is padded into everyone's utility bill. If I take that and divide it by 12 months in a year, it's $27.48 per month, not $4.
Can I ask a question?
Well, let me, when I'm done,
Okay.
sure. I want to cover all these things because that was only one piece. They first said that my numbers were wrong. But then Mr. Becker went on to say, quoted in the Morning Journal, I tried pulling it up on our website, but it hadn't been posted since March. It says he went on to say that while working as athletic director at Columbiana High School, he didn't take money from the volleyball account to pay his football coaches, which is basically what the city was doing. Dick McBain then turned around and said that what I'm doing is a rumor and it's not accurate, and that we're not doing that. So I wanted to show Mr. Becker tonight that right in black and white in our 2013 budget. And I'm not saying this to the effect of a single employee in the city, because they have absolutely no control over this, no design over this. I told Mike, he's inherited this budget and has passed on what he learned. But it shows in our general police fund right here, these are the employees that are covered. Police chief, 2 sergeants, 8 patrolmen, a part-time patrolman, custodian of 2 months. And I'm not even going to get into employment costs right now, but there's something missing. There was our dispatchers. Our volleyball players are being paid for by our football coaches. This section is part of the general fund. We have no special levy for the police department. Funds for this section come exclusively from the general fund. 3 dispatchers are paid from various other funds. So if I look now at my electric, water, and sewer bill, I'm just, do you agree with that so far?
I'm just listening.
Well, I know that, but does it make sense?
I'm just listening until you're done.
Right here in our utilities, in the electric fund, we have one of the dispatchers paid for out of the utility department. I have another one, dispatcher, 6 months, being paid for out of the water department. I have absolutely no problem. I think that logistically, it makes sense that these people are taking the calls, but it was stated, there's no truth. And I just took offense to the fact that I was publicly stated that what I put out as fact was not fact, but it was. So I wanted to do that, but I just had somebody admitting what this all means. What it means to me, and what I've been saying for the last 3 years from a taxation without representation standpoint, is that general fund can never really get too much bigger unless the city grows bigger. But every year, our costs still grow. Our healthcare costs go up, our employment costs go up, salaries go up, everything goes up, but the general fund really can't. But if we take employees that aren't really in these utility departments, and we pay them based on several months, and in this, and I confirm with Mike, this percentages of this, they are directly the same as what is coming out of the benefit side of it. So if a custodian is being paid for by the electric department for 2 months, then 2 months of his health benefits paying, and so forth. So as the costs for the city increase and our general fund doesn't increase, all we have to do is raise our utility rates and justify it by calling it labor and saying, we have these employees, and this is just the cost that it is. You've said this to me before in meetings, that that's what it costs to run our electric department, that's what it costs to run our water department. Well, the reason it costs that is because we keep putting this in. So the way I'm looking at it is our self-funded health insurance, which is costing, we talked with Mike, it's about $700,000 for that piece of it by itself, right?
For the health insurance premiums?
Just the not the carryover part that they're paying for, just our premiums, like $710,000.
Well, for last year, I showed $682,000.
I'm looking at the 2013 budget, I think it was but whatever.
Okay, that was probably put in for the budget.
Right, yeah, that's the only numbers I'm getting going, and I don't get them on a daily basis. So if we look at this, as healthcare costs increase, we just keep raising the utility bills up to cover the expense. And therefore, we are taxing people. We're taxing them, first of all, in a kilowatt hour tax that's being pushed to the general fund. And then we're taxing them by saying that this cost is here and it's a cost of doing business. If we were to get rid of our self-funded and we shop it around and we take our healthcare and reduce that expense down, all of these costs come down. So instead of $158,000 in this fund, it would be $100,000. If we cut that out of each fund just in the healthcare cost of it, our electric bills, our water bills, our sewer bills could be cut by the exact same percentage, and it would affect absolutely nothing, because our utility bills are what are paying that right now. So my point for the last 3 years has been, we're paying for something that we can't afford. If we were to stop right now doing this and putting the city manager back in the general fund, the mayor and council and clerk, everyone else is in there, but management's not. We've pulled them all out and we've exclusively dumped. There's 4 months of the city manager in electric, there's 4 months in sewer, there's 4 months in water. 100% of the salary comes from electric bills, as does the benefits. So again, the only reason that's happened is the general fund over years and years and years got squeezed. That's why years ago we used to be able to give away free electric in December, right? Now we can't because the electric's paying for all of these things. So I don't want a problem with you, Lowell. I don't want a problem with anybody in here. I'm trying to do what I said 4 years ago when I said I was going to come in here and try to find things that are going wrong. And and ways that we can save people money, why would anyone in here have a problem with trying to cut that cost down so that we can reduce our bills and save people money? I don't get it. I don't understand why the challenge came up in the first place. The second piece of this, it was in the article, and a big thing that I just wanted to point out is after the meeting, it said that when asked after the meeting if it was true that the city was paying its health care costs through utility bills, City Manager Lance Willard said that it was not. That clearly just showed that it is. And it says that he stated they're coming out of each individual fund and that we're not doing it. We are. So, with that, I don't want to belabor it any further. I can go much deeper if we need to, but I just wanted to give a synopsis and a presentation and defend myself because I was publicly questioned on why my numbers were not right. That's where I came up with them.
I'd like to ask the city manager, finance director, for comment on these numbers.
Well, I don't know if I'm not real sure what your whole point is, the big picture. Are you saying that there's accounting issues? I mean,
No, not at all. I think everything you're doing is legal. I think that it passed audits, as we've discussed.
Absolutely, and it's been done like that for years.
I know that, that's my point.
And that doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but at any time, when you do something, many times you gotta, check and audit it, and it's audited, it's been audited. I pulled the last 9 years of audits. And
I'm not challenging your audit.
They're all good, and there was 3 different types of auditors. Three different auditors. Betty Montgomery, Mary Taylor, she's a CPA, and Dave Yost. And
Lance, I'm not saying your numbers are wrong. I don't think you're doing anything illegal. I don't even think it's unethical. I just don't think the city knows that it's happening. So I made the comment that it was, and you said it wasn't.
you have to run these like the enterprise funds, and that's what they are.
If it's
They found no improprieties in these audits.
I'm not saying there's an impropriety. I'm saying that we are using the electric, legal or otherwise, and you're just saying that we're not. Are. I'm not saying that what you're doing is wrong. I'm not saying that there's any funny business. I'm not saying there's any activity that's wrong.
What's the point then?
What's my point? My point is that our electric bill, because the city can never go any higher with our tax, we can and do raise our utility bill and justify it by saying our employment costs are raising in this utility. We have to raise our costs.
But that's a fact. You said it's a fact. We all agree it's a fact.
It is a fact. I don't agree that we should be doing it. I agree that you can be doing it.
If it's an enterprise fund, if the electric is an enterprise fund, how do we take that tax money and dump it into the general fund if it's an enterprise
It's a
fund?
kilowatt hour tax established in 2001.
And
Tells
you-
you exactly what to do with it. It's right here.
You said that people don't know, and it was done at a public meeting, explained where we're supposed to go.
Why don't we put it on?
Why don't we put it on the
bill?
You can if you want to.
Then I would make a motion that we do that. I think people need to know that what they're paying. I mean, how do you tax somebody and not even know it?
If not, it's not gonna change the bottom line.
Absolutely.
Still $12.
Right, so then why not let them know that they're being taxed on it?
What's your motion exactly?
That we change our electric bills to add.
Let's finish these discussions first, and then we go into that.
Well, you've had a motion, we have to,
Oh, okay.
I made a motion that we amend our electric bill just to add the kilowatt tax that they're being charged.
How long have we been doing that?
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll second it.
Okay. Comments, go ahead.
Now, how long have we had this excise tax?
2001, this is state of Ohio. The Senate Bill 287 from 2001. They passed it, and it tells you how to disperse it. And it's right here.
This
And
is not, this is
let me tell you-
not, this is not
Right now,
passed
fire
by
department.
this council.
No, and
No, now, did we have to impose this tax?
This is the
We
Department of Taxation.
the reason we had to impose it was so we're not getting being able to operate cheaper than public utilities.
So we had no choice but to have this excise
That's right.
tax added.
That's
But we
right.
did have the choice to then not just push it back to the general.
Right, whose
Now,
decision?
it tells you right where to put it. Tells you right,
Right, but you're putting it in the general fund and then turn around and we're moving it to other places? I mean, it says right in our budget, it says exactly how much money is being transferred from the general fund to the cemetery, how much is being transferred to the park. We're taking money that's coming in to the general fund and we're pushing it back out.
you keep saying pushing it, but I mean, that's what they tell you to do with it right here.
I didn't say that they
Or
are
padding
telling
or
you to do it,
pushing.
I'm just saying that's what we're doing. It's
Do
coming in.
we have
and
to
going
do
back
that?
out.
Yes, because it is part of the, when the deregulation, that's what brought all this about. And I can give you the website, everybody can get on the website, it's Ohio Department of Taxation, you can do a search for kilowatt tax.
No, I mean, any Google search, it pulls it right up. I'm not saying we're doing anything wrong. From a tax standpoint, I think it's, that it's kind of bad that the public doesn't know. I mean, if I look at my gas bill, the same excise tax is listed in black and white on there. If I look at it says sales tax, it has an accounting tax. Why not let people know what they're paying?
So that excise tax is actually a rate adjustment or a rate increase. That's how we collect the tax. But we don't show it as a tax on the bill, so we must be collecting it.
It
No,
goes into the expense.
it's actually built into the overhead rate. Our electric rate, all we're doing is it's the cost of electricity that we purchase from AMP. Each month we go through the calculation. The cost of electric we purchase from AMP, and then we factor in the overhead. And basically our cost to run the department. This kilowatt tax was imposed by the Ohio General Assembly in 2001, and it's a usage tax. So this $315,000 that is in the budget, that number could go up, that number could go down based on the usage throughout the year. Last year we got the tax was $314,689. Those are actual numbers, and the year before that was $308,563. So you can see that, over the last 2 years, the tax did go up. That's because our usage went up. So that $315 might even go up a little higher if our usage is higher. It is based on the usage based on kilowatts. 0 to 2,000 kilowatts is 0.465 cents per kilowatt. And from 2001 to 15,000, it's 0.419 cents. And from 15,001 and over, it's 0.363 cents. Why this was never put on the bills, I can't answer that.
And I don't expect you.
No, I don't expect it to, Mike.
Yeah, and now, can we put that in, Phil? The first thing we'd have to check with our software system, our SSI, if that's a possibility. Again, I can't answer that at this moment. That is something that we'd have to check with our software.
Now, would that change for people every month, or
It's
just?
based on 2,000
Not-
less and then it tiers, right?
It
Right,
tiers?
the rate would not change, but if they went over 2,000 kilowatts, then the rate would change.
Would go down.
Actually, the first 2,000, they'd be charged at 0.465 cents, and then after 2,000, it would go to the 0.419. Now, any residential, if you use 15,000 kilowatts,
I was just gonna say, what's the average?
it's
500 kilowatts?
yeah, maybe 600. I've seen residential that use over 1,000, but
To push 2,000.
2,000 is really pushing it.
I'm going to offer you a suggestion on, I don't know the answer to this precisely, but I have an idea that the reason that it's not been shown in the bills is that all taxes go into the general fund. That's income tax, real estate tax, this tax goes into the general fund. If you look at your auditor's report, which I think you all got,
No, we haven't.
the auditor's report,
You should have got it in your email, I just checked with Mike before the meeting.
Well, I had given the auditors, everybody that had an email, I had given them their email. If you didn't want it sent by email, they sent a hard copy, and I think there was a couple that didn't have. I think Dave was one.
I don't remember getting it.
Okay, well, you can access it online at the auditor.
whether you got it or not, I still make a point here. That looking at page 28, which reflects the enterprise activities, which are water, wastewater, and electric, it references the cash flow from receipts from customers. which we all want. And then in the second line, it says cash flow from non-capital financing activity, specifically tax receipts, 0, 0, 0. So the auditor's not showing that as a receipt into those enterprise funds. And I think the reason is, I'm not swearing to this, but I think the reason is that it's a tax like any other tax, and it's going into the general fund. And the general fund always funds police departments and the other items that we've talked about. That's municipal business 101.
101, right.
And the enterprise funds fund themselves. All costs of doing business in the enterprise funds are including health care and everything else that goes into employee benefits and salaries come out of the enterprise fund, and they're billed accordingly. So I think there's a very reasonable explanation here for a possible explanation as to why it wasn't on the bill. But that doesn't negate the fact that this was all audited, perfectly appropriate. And there's been some discussion about this the use of let's say, taking the city manager's salary and dividing it among enterprise funds. There's statutory and charter authority for that. I can cite you chapter and verse of the authority in the Ohio Revised Code and in our charter for the standard practice of taking managers' salaries, clerks' salaries, treasurers' salaries in case of non-charter cities, and other employees, and allocating their wages to a fund for which they perform a service. And then obviously the manager performs a service for every one of the enterprise funds, the general fund, and that's how he's paid. That's the way it's done, and that's perfectly appropriate. It's the right thing to do. And I just have one thing to say to you though, that you're making these complaints about the way this has been done, but and I know you agree with this, at least in part. Salaries and wages and benefits are authorized through the budgetary and appropriation process. That's charter. The city council must approve the annual city budget and appropriation and the distribution of funds.
I voted for it.
Exactly, you voted for every one of them.
Absolutely.
You voted for every one of them, and now you're saying it's taxation, implementation. You're the representative, Mr. Blakeman. You voted for these budgets and these appropriations.
Absolutely. In fact, I told my wife this was the one thing that you would have to be able to come back at me with.
I'm not coming back at you with it, that's a fact.
Obviously you are.
You're complaining about, you're saying that this is
I
it's not a tax.
voted for a budget for the last 3 years, knowing that the numbers were the way they were, because if a budget doesn't pass and we don't have money, people don't have police at all, they don't have EMS, they don't have fire departments, so do you not want to have anything? So I have privately, not in council meetings, been putting red flags up all over the place saying, here are problems that you've got going on. And I did absolutely, positively vote for a budget because I think that there are many things that are good. We don't have a line item in here to be able to say, no, we're not approving this, we're not approving this. It's, here's the budget, are you approving it or not? That's what we've done since I've sat here.
So you voted for all of these things that you're complaining about now, and you're somehow complaining about the cost of health care. Health care has to be provided for our people, and we have had surpluses every year on our health, our self-funded coverage.
Absolutely, because they keep raising rates.
It's not raising rates, it's paying for what the expense is, and we still have the surplus to carry over.
But if your expense,
So,
first of all, you're not a council member if you're talking about our rates. But if you knew what our rates could be and could be lowered, why wouldn't we do that? You're saying they always balance. They always balance because if we have $1 million cost and we start the year with a budget saying, okay, our healthcare is going to cost us $1 million, obviously it's going to balance. And if we collect extra, it's always going to have a surplus. That doesn't mean that it's the best cost. If we could get $600,000, $700,000 insurance instead of $1 million in insurance, then those costs come down by that much unless we just add them to the surplus by that much more.
All you're really saying is if we take these healthcare expenses out of the enterprise funds and put them in the general fund, somehow they'll disappear.
No, I'm saying they should disappear. I'm saying that our government is bigger than we can afford, and therefore we're using our electric and water and sewer bills to pay for it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that they would disappear, I'm saying that we couldn't afford it otherwise. That's all I'm saying.
Our small crowd, did anybody know we had a kilowatt excise tax? Yep.
Are we allowed to talk? No.
Well, I just said, I just said, everybody knew. Now, you as a contractor might have known, I don't know.
I do, I have something to say when you're ready to hear it, but yes.
Yes to the question?
Yes to the question, but I want to talk when I'm allowed. So,
You're allowed to talk.
can I say one thing? It's just as a business owner that has employees, the only thing I want to say, I don't know if I'm going to stand over here. As a business owner that has employees, the self-insured program that you guys have is the way to go. Don't go shop insurance, because it changes every year. I just got, my brother-in-law's my insurance agent, I just had it out with him a couple weeks ago about our health insurance. They can't even offer what's even on the table until September, maybe October, maybe even November. We don't know what our insurance is going to be next year. Every year for the past few years, it has changed on us. Stay self-funded. Stay self-funded. Number one. Number two is this city is extraordinary. I mean, we're a family. We're a community. Family takes care of each other, and we're fortunate enough to have call them kids. We have the enterprises that help contribute, and the city manager helps oversee those enterprises. And we're fortunate enough to have businesses within the city that help generate, additional income for our city through this tax. If we didn't have those, we'd be buying electric from somebody else, and our city wouldn't be able to afford the high-quality positions and high-quality people for those positions that we need to have a healthy city. So I think it's important that you guys still attract high-quality individuals to the city. And as a business owner, I try to do that for my employees, but I can't part of it is because of health insurance, and because I'm small and I can't afford some health insurance policies I'd like to get, and I'm too small to ensure to be self-funded. So you guys are in a position to attract those high-quality workers. The second thing is, these enterprises are doing a phenomenal job. They're affordable, the service is great, and the police department and the city manager, everybody, crosses lines and gets into those departments, and vice versa. They help out at city events and different things as well. So I think that as a family we're operating great, and I don't know the legalities. What you're allowed to do, what you're not allowed to do. But if you put the tax on the bill, be prepared for some explaining to do, because my wife and other homeowners that pay bills are going to call and say, "What's this new tax? What's going on?" And so I would imagine.
Yeah, but
it's not exactly. Okay, think about it like this. I write a check every year to the federal government. I write a check for my property taxes. I write a check for this and that and different things. I have no idea what the federal government uses my money for. It's broken down into so many different parts and pieces.
You're missing what started this conversation was a comment that what I said wasn't true.
Well, it's because
it was all true.
In all due respect, Councilman Blake, admit your attitude. Admit your attitude towards McBain and other people. That it tends to sometimes take offense.
If you're continuously attacked, when your numbers are continuously right,
it's presented.
I do have an attitude, and it's only because every single time you try to present something to the city, we've done this forever. I know you've done it forever. I absolutely positively disagree with it. That's why I ran. That's why there's different parties talking about utilities supporting the rest of our government. To me, it's socialism. We're just packing in utility bills rather than taxes. You said be a good neighbor. Be a good neighbor. Charge more electric. That's crazy.
No, it
says, hey, businesses, don't move into town because you're going to be paying more than you pay somewhere else. Yeah, we have great services, but it's expensive.
The presentation was a little bit inaccurate, a little bit skewed. You said $20 per household.
I didn't know. I said an average of every tap in is $28 is what I said.
Today you did.
If you read what's on here, it says per tap-in.
I didn't read what's on, I'm
I
talking about
know that,
last
and that's
council
why I get
meeting.
frustrated.
No,
You guys
last
think
council
so
meeting
much.
last council meeting wasn't presented that way.
No, it wasn't by me, I didn't even answer the question. I said I'm not prepared tonight and I'll come back in 2 weeks. It was stated by him that what I said was what you just repeated, and he put words in my mouth. That's why I put everything in writing.
As far as adding it to the bill, Lance and Mike will certainly get a lot of phone calls. But at the same time, I think the public should know what they're paying for. When we're not the federal government, they should know, okay, this tax has been added in, it was added in 2001, and this is why. Give them a website to research it. I'm sure you get some complaints. I don't doubt that at all. I'm sure you're correct.
All I care about is if someone up here in a public meeting states that something I put out is not factually accurate, that they come back forward and say, you know what, the numbers are right. They were. Everything on there was right. Everything that was said here 2 weeks ago was either misrepresentation, a flat-out lie, or somebody that doesn't know what they're talking about. Any of the three aren't good whenever you're talking about somebody that's supposed to be representing your city. I take this very serious. I'm not up here from a friendship standpoint. I'm up here to try to do what's right. What I'm doing, taking a stand and putting my neck on the line in front of everyone else, knowing full well that you and everyone else up here doesn't agree with me and is going to attack me, I think is doing what's right.
It's not that I don't agree with you. That's a lot to take in as far as what you presented and as far as all those numbers on the screen. I mean, zooming into the numbers that we're supposed to look at. Again, I don't have the spreadsheets in front of me, but the idea was, you know.
I'll give you one. I don't extra.
You know what amazes me is the fact that after all this discussion for the last 30 years, nothing changes.
That's my frustration.
It's still going to cost the citizens the same amount of money.
What do you want to
It
change?
would only cost
So
us the
this is
same.
kind of like arguing
What do you want to change?
what size table
I
and
want
who
to
sits
shop
at the
healthcare.
end of the table or a round table.
And what
It all means nothing.
I think it boils down to our health care costs.
No, it doesn't.
Well, it does.
This conversation, that presentation, I do not believe was about healthcare, shopping or healthcare. I mean,
He said what could change the cost.
MCA administrators, they did a wonderful job shopping us around. Just because we're self-funded doesn't mean they don't shop us around. The longer that we give them, they do shop us around to various
We had a consultant in here 3 years ago, and we never chose to even take a proposal to look at switching from self-funded, and you started this year by saying, I don't want to even look again this year. That was your report 2 months ago.
Well, actually,
So
no, I did not
nothing
say
changed.
that. I said that we had an insurance committee and they're looking at it, and they had a meeting yesterday that we talked about. The chief was there? Are we gonna look at it?
I think that we are looking at it. I sit on, as a representative on the committee with the union representatives from the other two unions and from other management personnel. One of the things we're tasked with doing is trying to do exactly what you're saying. Is we agree that the health costs are out of control. We also know that with the Health Care Reform Act or Obamacare, that the first of the year, next year, 2014, is going to bring changes that nobody knows what they're going to be. You just don't know. The legislature can modify it. Things can change. Things can get worse. Things can get better. If you go out to an insurance company to buy insurance, they don't know either. So it could come to pass that we would have a rate increase we wouldn't know about. The self-funded options, when we're looking at, we've looked at a couple ways. I'm talking out of school a little bit. But I think ways to reduce the costs, and they involve co-pays, they involve managing the benefits. And those are ways to do this. Those are ways that we can manage the costs and get those costs down to a more reasonable level and still not kill anybody that's in the city that needs health care. But there's ways to save money. There's savings out there. I think the committee's actively searching for that. I think we'll find ways. I think we found at least 2 ways that we agree on between the unions, management, and all the reps on there agree that there are ways, at least 2 so far we found, so we can reduce costs.
There's no representative from council on that committee, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. No,
The council is the only people in the city that don't actually receive the city's insurance, correct?
No part-time people.
Well, you know what I'm talking about. So right now, everyone on the committee that's picking the insurance receives the insurance, and the people that are are tasked with voting to pay the bill, that don't receive it, that would be the complete most unbiased of who receives what, is not even represented at the table.
I'll let you speak to that for just a second. That would infer that we are somehow biased toward our own self-interest. Following your logic, hold on, let me finish. Following your logic, do you pay an electric bill? Are you biased toward your own self-interest and arguing for a reduction? It's the same thing. I think you're honorable. I know that I'm honorable. I think the other people on the committee are honorable. Trust us to do the right thing.
Why wouldn't we have someone from council on that committee?
I think that you're the final arbiter of the decision. I think it's a conflict of interest to be on there and then make a decision on what you were on. I think that you need an independent review after we make the recommendation, and all we do is make a recommendation. You have the decision-making or legislative authority. We do not. Nothing happens with what you say.
I've never seen a recommendation for even a quote on switching from self-funded insurance.
Frankly, since I've been here, this is the first time the insurance committee's been active, and I think we're making progress.
Those are frustrations that I have.
I agree.
I've been asking for this for a very long time.
I think that you'll be surprised when we make the recommendations we make. I think there are some savings. It's not going to be millions of dollars in savings. I don't think that we're going to expend $1 million too either. I think that there'll be some place that we can find, and I think that as it shakes out, and when we find out what this new healthcare thing is going to end up doing to us, even with a change of administration in the future, the whole thing could go away or change. So we're doing the best we can to save the money, but self-funded right now is an attractive option, and we have, I think, more local control over it. I think that does create small.
I just want to say that from the opposite side of the fence, Mr. Straher, I also run a business. We get to look, unfortunately, at healthcare costs every year. Our insurance renews every June, so we've had the luxury for the last 3 months of going through. We just received the largest increase in the history of our 30-year company because of Obamacare. That said, I'm still paying half as much per employee as this city is right now. The way, as bad as it is for us, we're on average, if you take the total cost of all insurance, not just one, the only number I know is the whole gross number, it's over $20,000 per employee for healthcare. That's a lot of money. You're not paying that much of your business, I can assure you. I'm not.
Well, it depends how much dependents you have. The more dependents you have, the more you're paying.
But it's still not 20 grand a year for
I pay that.
For a single or for your...
For my family.
But how many for all your employees?
I don't have that documentation from me, and nor do I want to divulge it in front of council, but what I'm saying here is that my health insurance is not attractive to getting additional employees.
But what drives my argument is seeing the opposite side of it and knowing that as bad as I've ever had it is still half as bad as what we're paying right now.
Well, how soon, Chief, do you think we'll have some type of recommendation from the committee?
Yeah, I don't have a,
I don't know if
is there
you
a
know that.
timetable is, because I don't know what the timetable is. I know that we meet every couple of weeks, and sometimes I think it's a month since the last meeting. We'll have a recommendation. I know there's renewal deadlines and all that, and you'll have that before your renewal deadline. And hopefully, as quickly as possible, allow you time to shop this or for a third-party administrator to shop. Certainly it's appropriate. One of the recommendations, frankly, that we discussed in our last couple of meetings was having, I'm not trying to insult anybody here, but having someone that is not the city's third-party administrator give us a view of it. I think that's fair. We're not saying that they're dishonest or misleading us or that they're too expensive. But if we get as many views of this as we can from as many levels, we're going to have a better picture and a better way to enhance competitive pricing.
When is our renewal date?
We missed it.
April 30th of 2014.
Oh, so for this year, we're stuck where we're at.
Right.
Can we lower or raise deductibles, tow-pays? Can we do that
We're
now?
making adjustments right now, and as I said in my report about a month and a half to 2 months ago, we believe that we can reduce it 17%, up to 17%. We're targeting between 12 and 17 by simply tweaking what we already have for this year. And as the chief pointed out, the insurance committee, which I like to call it a team, all working together to try to reduce costs because we do know that what's coming. We have an independent third-party person coming in and telling us both sides, and they can offer self-funded and fully insured.
Now, shame on me for not knowing this, will Obamacare affect our self-funded plan?
It will affect it somewhat, but not as much as what the private sector is going to be.
You don't feel bad about not knowing.
I mean, there's so much.
Pelosi voted for it, and she didn't know it.
Oh, you know, every 2 weeks you go to the same seminar, which we've actually done that. It changes. So,
I can tell you one way it affects me directly in terms of budget is the rules regarding part-time employees. As you know, we employ part-time people, we save a ton of money doing that. However, now, I have to keep it below a certain threshold, or we have to offer
We have to offer
insurance.
benefits, yeah.
That's something that we have to pay attention to now, whereas it wasn't much of an issue before. So there are ways that impact you, I would say indirectly, that we have to be cognizant of, where it's going to cost us money. So we got to be on the ball every minute, and there's a lot of balls in the air, so we just don't know. We're doing the best we can. I think that 12 to 17% is realistic. I think there's more savings beyond that. I think there are ways to do this, and I think that the members of the team, including the union members, have a vested interest in making it cheaper. They don't want to lose jobs or positions or have the funding dry up for their positions either. They don't want to do that either. So I think that we're all in this together, and we are making an effort. 12 to 17, I think is reasonable.
Chief, while you're speaking, would you maybe want to address the part-time people, or the dispatchers being paid out of the...
I have a couple thoughts on it if you want to indulge me.
I'd like to indulge you.
The federal, I got a project management background to some degree too, somewhat on the federal level, working for the Department of the Army on a Homeland Security project. The Office of Management and Budget is the kind of the gold standard for that. They have what they call circulars that regulate this. The most common chargeback or cost sharing is what we're talking about. The most common one is salary and benefits. I think it's the best, most appropriate and equitable way to do this is to bill it back to the source as a consumer. So the fact that we use dispatchers to receive after-hours calls, dispatch electric, water, sewer, road, all those people that we do that for, I think it's appropriate and desirable that we do it. I think that not only that, but we couldn't eliminate it if we wanted to, because it happens every day in every department and virtually every line item. And you point to the custodian, I'm handling two months of that.
The only reason I pointed
We're
to
getting the
yours,
bill back.
it's in every budget.
Right.
But the black and white, Mr. Becker said that it wasn't happening.
I think it happens every day in every line.
But it's in bold print on that one. That's the only reason that yours was singled out.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that one of the reasons we put that in print is because it's transparent. It should be.
Understood, but the comment was made that it's not happening.
I can't speak to that. All I can tell you is that it not only is happening, it's desirable, it's appropriate, it's the best and most equitable way. It's Office of Management and Budget agrees that it's good. The state auditor agrees. I mean, I can understand your personal disagreement with it, but the reality is every day and every line item we do it, whether it's just like when you go get an oil change in your car. I looked at my Firestone bill and looked on there, $6 for shop supplies. I assume that's the thing he wiped his hands with. It's the cost of doing business. If you don't pass that on, like we would to the electric company or the water, you're going to go out of business. You're going to end up upside down.
But what if we didn't have electric, water, and sewer? We wouldn't be able to be in business.
We'd have to pay Ohio Edison, and they're going to cost you more. They're going to make a profit.
What I'm saying, they're not charging us more. I called them.
I can't mention that. I don't know.
I know that. But I physically, in case that came up, I went so far as to all of it. I mean, we're about a half a cent per kilowatt higher. You can go online. You can call them directly. I did. I called First Energy. You can call the PUCO. They give you all the rates. I know you don't like that, Tom, but it's true.
No, what I don't understand is the effort you're putting forth.
Because when someone attacks my credibility, I have to
Did
put
you ever
that
think
effort.
that maybe you, sitting in that position, attack a lot of people as well? And that's why they have to attack you?
I didn't attack anything.
You
I
think
made
that
a,
you're sitting there and not attacking people?
No,
And
I
using
think-
colorful words to describe something that when it's all over and done, doesn't save the city a penny.
well, it would if I was the only vote, I would save the city money. I can tell you that right now.
Where would you get
How would
this?
you do that?
How would you do
I would
this?
start by shopping.
Well, no. That has
Period.
nothing to do
Yeah.
with the fact that we've got current costs today. Where would you get the money to pay the current costs? If you weren't using the enterprise fund?
I would shave costs.
Would you increase the city income tax?
No.
How would you pay them?
I would probably look the opposite way and reduce taxes and approach businesses.
Well, that sounds real good.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
We're just different.
Every
I
time you bring
believe that-
something up, people come back to you, and then the next week, it's another
But you come back with
rat in the bush.
you come back with things that aren't accurate.
I don't understand why we spend so much time. And
I don't either.
We haven't saved the city, citizens of this city a nickel.
Well, then maybe it shouldn't have been brought up 2 weeks ago in a council meeting and attack my integrity.
Well,
Wow.
I don't know and again, I gotta agree with Rob here. Sometimes your delivery creates that, so maybe you ought to take a look in the mirror.
Delivery and fact change nothing.
No,
Facts are
numbers
facts.
all right, I'm not going to hear more. I'm going. Is this thing over with?
We have a motion on the floor.
Well,
Can we keep-
let me talk about
Let's
that.
act.
Oh, go ahead after
And
you
then we
get
can
the
have some
motion.
closing.
I'll call for the motion.
Could you repeat the motion, please, Ian?
The motion on the floor was to put the tax on the utility bills, the kilowatt tax on the utility bills.
Okay, we have a motion second, and we want your comments.
Okay,
So let's call for the vote.
my comment is, let Mike see if it's possible to do it first. If the software can be, if it can be done, and if it does, I don't care if it's on.
Then
But
Let's
let's
vote on it.
let's amend it.
Let's
to-
amend it, yeah.
Pending the approval of the software.
You gonna make the motion amendment?
I'll make a motion that we amend it to the pending the approval of our software's capabilities.
I'll second.
Okay. Thank you.
It will have to be explained that the bill will not change. It's just the language in the bill.
Right.
Your bill will not go
Will be
up.
broke down.
Your bill will not go up because of that,
Smoke and mirrors, I guess.
I guess.
We have a motion and an amendment to the motion.
And so the first one would be the amendment.
Yes. Is there a vote on the amendment to the motion?
Lakeman,
Yes.
Ferguson,
Yeah.
King,
Yes.
Schoniger,
Yes.
Challenger? Yes. And then that is amended.
So now a vote on the motion as amended.
I think if we want to cut costs, then we talk about individual tasks. This is one that's being worked on right now. The way to look at some other ones.
Let's vote on this, that's something.
Go ahead, Dean.
Well, I don't want to mean tonight.
Ferguson,
Yes.
King,
Yes.
Schoniger,
Yes.
Challenger? Yes. Lakeman?
Yes.
Closing comments.
No, I want to do something. Sure. I'd like to pass out the actual cost and what is paid out of the funds. Each pass that on that. This is a breakdown of what is paid out of each fund. It's not paid out of the utility.
We got
fund.
some more numbers.
Well, I'm not going to speak, I'm just going to show them to you.
Does it change the bottom line in it? No. Dude.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go.
Did you get one yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just go over this quickly. These are the healthcare costs. You hit general, street, cemetery, park, capital improvements, water, sewer, electric, EMS, income tax, self-funded. Okay, it's broken down. The general fund pays the most into the hospitalization because they have the police and other firemen and other things that can't be paid anywhere else. The street and cemetery and the park. Now you get over to the EMS, they have a levy that's paid out, but look at the percentages. And here's the percentages of the total bill that's paid out of the water, sewer, and electric. And you see the percentages below it. You use your 3,000 families in the cost, and it comes out the 290 for water, 240 sewer, 370 for electric. a total of $9 before, and that's before the reimbursement of $188,000
That's leaving out the rest
from
of the
our,
funds.
what we call it, the catastrophic carrier.
Don't we have more funds in this?
Yes, that doesn't include all of the funds that are actually being.
Well, they're under
subsidized.
general if they're not under
But the
the.
general's being subsidized by an excise tax of $315,000.
Okay, even if you put that in here, you can't come up with other than the 290, 240, 370 that are paid out of these funds.
Okay.
They're there, and you can have a copy of this. That's all I'd say. It's there in black and white, it's printed out. The costs are there, the 270, I can see why the people say that it's not true, or the 27 or $28 isn't true.
But you're only adding water, sewer, and electric. You're not adding the rest of them that are actually subsidized by the utility bills. And all I said was that our utility bills are paying that amount of money.
Now, you said that $28 of our utility bills is used for hospitalization, when in fact it's $9.
I said it's loaded into there from all the different funds.
You can use whatever language you want, but that's what you meant.
We both have the same number.
I'm with Tom. I cannot for the life of me understand where you're coming from, where you're going, what, other than it's a campaign for to get elected next year.
I think you're forgetting, I didn't bring this up.
I can't get, it was on your website first, and on the back of your copies is your website, what you said. Right there. You're the one that brought it up first, right?
You brought this to a public meeting 2 weeks ago.
I didn't bring it.
I'm gonna continue to answer it anytime someone brings something.
You're the one that said you brought it up first on your website.
Any other council comments?
And then one more comment. I think that website ought to be changed to some other name for the look of impropriety to come in as city council, because it has nothing to do with coming in as city council. Just for the look of impropriety. I know it's legal and there's a disclaimer on it,
Now with our electric fund.
but I think you ought to change that name to Brian Wakeman's comments.
There's no other
Just my
council
opinion.
comments, motion to adjourn.
So,
Very entertaining.
there's certainly need
Mia, did you get the meter?
I did. My boys were, it's good to see Jill.
Yeah, wasn't it? She's, no. I'm happy no matter what.
Yeah, I didn't bring it.
Oh, no, it's fine. I think the city.
I can see it.
creative account. Your actual it's higher.
Well, I had a yeah, but, we're looking for all of the first question. It's
It's a lot of money. They're actually
By himself,
Why
The road is out there. And the front area. That's what you're telling
So, yes, every one of those numbers is here in our utilities. So, that has,
I have a new condominium, which is more utility. It's a good wall, say everything. I like the water and sewer, just $60. So the three.
I didn't do the
In the summer, when you're not three kids, in the summer, it goes up a little bit. With the air conditioners, year round, like 77 in there.
You know, I thought driveways, dealers back and forth.
How you doing? I'm doing great. Doing good? Thanks again.
I appreciate you.
I didn't advertise anything next year. I didn't want to what was transferred. I ended up with it was just a good, clean event, and you know what? Yes, I like doing. That's what I was just explaining. You know, budget utilities, more sales pitches.
I can't believe it's not, because they're fishing that pond.
Here it is. Yeah, I can show you guys something real quick. Look at this fish I found in my pond in Lake Middletown. Look how cool this is. My kid was out there fishing on Father's Day. Look at that thing he pulled out with us. That carp with Mickey Mouse, it's like 50-pound carp with Mickey Mouse. Him and my cousin, caught that fish. So crisp. It hooked my 5-year-old son and my 6-year-old nephew both to a line. They brought them together with 2 Mickey Mouse. Hey, yeah,
Well, now, you said between 6:30 and 22. Now you're saying between 4
So
6:30. Around 6:30.
So about it's at least
They'll say,
I told my wife, it's like, you know, I'm not one to want to be back. All right, George, thanks very much. No problem.
It's such a unbelievable. Oh, I thought it was great. I put about $50 or whatever. The first time I put $50 with a ticket from all the motorbike. So then Phil Wells stopped me, he bought $100. Neither of us got it, so 150 tickets in that bucket, neither of us got the motorbike. He probably did. So between the two of us, we got 150.
You know, PBS issue, the American representative, and then there's like 9.
Yeah, between the two of us, we put, I thought,
We have nominated.
well, 50 tickets, if they shake them up, I got a good chance. And Phil says, so he went and talked me.
I'm not, I think I'm the management representative.
Neither of us got it.
And after the recommendations.
Well, that's where the bucket. Yeah. I thought surely one of us would win it with 150 tickets in there.
And
We
all that's
did.
presented to city council as a recommendation. And they're all modified.
That's good. There was some nice stuff.
I was just working to try and find cost reduction opportunities.
What's that?
In health.
We like-
Really.
No, not the weed whack, but it had strain, it had.
Oh, okay.
There's little things.
I love Chinese oranges.
You know, compared to the
But the only suggestion I got is you need another way to make money besides the Chinese oranges.
Coral Lake.